Welcome back to the Catalyst of Development podcast. It's been a while since I've seen you. Might have taken a little hiatus. 2020 wasn't very good, at least not for me, but we are back. And our purpose still remains the same. Our purpose is to help you find yours. This is episode 15 and the very first episode of 2021. I think we're going to call it Transform, right? Because let's be real, I cannot think of a better way to start 2021 other than a topic about transformation. Because let's be honest, how many of you have already set your 2021 goals and resolutions? Right? Some of you have probably already started on them. But I got a question. This is a real question now. How many people may have started a healthy eating goal and are waiting to start till Monday? I mean, let's be real. Who starts a goal on Friday anyway? I have no doubt that some of these goals and resolutions that we have set will require some change and transformation on our parts. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about transformation. We're going to talk about why it's needed, why some people struggle. I'll give you some examples of some extremely successful people who have been able to transform their lives over time. And as always, one of the things I believe that sets us apart from just these motivational or inspirational podcasts or videos, we'll finish up with some actionable steps and some pro tips that you can take starting today that will begin to transform your life into what you know it should be. So let's go ahead and punch in that code and start taking steps to reaching your fullest potential. Leadership expert Robin Sharma once said that yes, your transformation will be hard. Yes, you will feel frightened, messed up, even knocked down. Yes, you'll want to stop. And yes, it will be the best work you'll ever do. So transformation, why is it needed? You know, it's funny thinking about why we take the new year as kind of a fresh start. I think it's because we all have a little internal struggle, right? We have to understand that the moment we are born, the world wants to assign us a role, right? Put us in a box. We all have these characteristics that we've learned throughout our lives from our parents, our friends, our peers, even our jobs, even from the stuff we watch on TV or the content we take in on social media. All of them have had a hand in shaping our personality, who we are, as well as who we are becoming, right? I can look back to the beginning of 2020. I had my goals set, I had everything established, and there was something off. It almost felt like I was living in disagreement with myself. And I think it was because I got too caught up in the box that the world was trying to put me in. And I kept fighting to get out of that box because for me, there was no fulfillment in that box. I think what people really want is the freedom and power to determine their own character, right? To be the hero in their own stories. People are more fulfilled when they're chasing their dreams and realizing their own potential, getting outside of the box, good or bad, that society or the people around you may put you in. So that's why it's needed. But then we have to ask, if we know why it's needed, why do people struggle? I'm going to tell you the two biggest reasons I believe on why people struggle is self-doubt and self-sabotage, right? We are so negative when it comes to ourselves. We are so uncompassionate when we come to ourselves. It's amazing to me how much we will forgive and understand when it happens to somebody else. But when it's ourselves, we tend to beat ourselves up, right? This self-doubt and self-sabotage, we are setting ourselves up for failure before we even begin. Those are the two biggest reasons I believe why people struggle. Another reason is People bite off more than they can chew, right? They try to change everything all at once. They set themselves up for more than what they may be currently capable of handling. Right? Just like anything else in life, you have to grow to transform, right? You have to grow to be able to have the resilience to take on all this additional change and improvements and habits. Trying to change everything all at once may be too much for some individuals. That's why we struggle. You have to understand that this doesn't have to be a total rehaul, right? It could just be one or two things at a time. Perfect example. Let's say we took the 12 months in this year, right? And every single month we created or started just one positive habit. Just one. And then throughout the year we built on them, right? Not too much, not too little, just one small habit every single month. By the end of the year, we will have created and started and built into our daily routine 12 positive habits. I don't know about you, but looking back and reflecting over 2020, I'm going to tell you right now, there was not 12 positive habits that I created and stuck with throughout the year. That's just me being honest, right? I think last year I did exactly what I previously just said. I bit off more than I could chew, right? It was too much all at once, and then let's be honest, 2020 happened, threw a major curveball, and I wasn't adaptable enough. I wasn't flexible enough. So this year, although I do have a pretty significant amount of goals, I'm going to strategically place them throughout the months, maybe even quarters, maybe even be on a weekly basis, so I can build on them. I can kind of stack them on top of each other so it doesn't seem like it's too much all at once, right? Create a habit, initiate a habit, let that habit become a foundation, right? Let it get locked in, and then toss another small habit on top of it, right? That's the way I'm attacking 2021. And then, why people struggle, like, I think, and it goes in line with some of the self-doubt and self-sabotage, we start to believe that we are actually in that box that people put us in, right? We believe we are that person. We believe that maybe we're not good enough, that maybe we're not talented enough. But I gotta be real, even when I think about this, like, who the hell are other people to put us in a box? And I don't care who they are, right? Friends, family, peers, associates, society. Who the hell are they to put you or me in a box? I'm not giving them that much power, and I suggest you don't give them that much power either. So this is why people struggle, I believe. Self-doubt, self-sabotage, biting off more than they can chew, and then believing what society and people are telling you about yourself. Man, only you can do that. So what are some famous examples, right? So this was real easy, right? All this took was a Google search of people who have transformed their lives over time, right? And I'm going to say just two of them, and you're going to know exactly who they are. But I want you to think about what they did throughout their lives and how they transformed, right? The first one, Arnold Schwarzenegger. This dude, right? He's had two successful kind of reinventions of his life, right? He transformed himself from a professional bodybuilder into one of the most successful actors in Hollywood, right? All these old school movies like Conan and Total Recall, right? I may be dating myself right now. They may not be cool now, but man, I'm telling you what, back in the day, Arnold was the man, right? But then he followed this acting career and turned himself into a politician, right? One of his heroes was Ronald Reagan, and he kind of used him as a mentor and a guide, right? He used him as kind of a goal, and he, again, transformed his life into a successful politician. He became the governor of California. Here's somebody, started out as a bodybuilder, ended up as the governor of California, and served 2 terms. 2 terms. Not too bad for a poor kid from Austria. The next, Ice Cube, right? I don't think some of our younger generation remember the Ice Cube that I remember, right? Who would have thought that this gangster rapper who started out with NWA, right, and some of the songs and stuff that that I grew up with, 20 years later, would have become more profitable in his career from a production company. Not only any production company, a family-friendly production company. You know, the Are We There Yet franchise, right? This is Ice Cube. Back in the day, you would have never envisioned this. But he transformed his life and understood that he had goals that went beyond hip hop. He had goals that went beyond where he grew up and how he grew up. And he transformed his life. And it's funny looking at who he is now to who he was back then. And that was one of the transformations that I researched that really, really stuck out to me, right? All you old heads know what Ice Cube is. You know. All right. So that brings us into the actionable steps, right? I will never leave you without any actionable steps that you can start taking today to get after your transformation. I got about 7 of them that I wrote down. They're very generic in nature, right? I don't want to lock you down to something very specific and rigid that you feel you can't be flexible enough with, right? Because let's be honest, we don't know what type of curveballs are ahead of us in 2021. But the first step is self-awareness, right? And self-reflection. You have to understand what you want to change and transform before you can even begin. In what areas of your life can you get the most return on investment? Could it be health, relationships, finances? Only you can determine that. But that comes from self-awareness and self-reflection. Once you determine those areas that give you the best return on investment, focus your time, energy, and effort there. That'll be where the most bang for your buck's going to come from, right? Number 2, you've got to set goals. I'm not talking about resolutions. I'm not talking about dreams and desires. No, sit down and write out your goals. Write them out. Develop a game plan. We'll get into that in a little bit, but you have to understand that you will never be able to hit a target that you cannot see. Number 3, stop making excuses. That's what I did last year, right? My excuse was 2020. 2020. Yeah, 2020 threw a curveball at all of us, right? Nobody was prepared for that. Mentally, physically, emotionally, like we just weren't. But if I'm being honest with you, my lack of success last year wasn't because of 2020. It was due to my lack of adaptability to the curveballs that were thrown at us, right? Stop making excuses. Excuses are what hold you back. And they are almost always the only thing in between you and the actual transformation you're going for. Number 4, you've got to create a routine, right? This is where our habits come in. And this doesn't have to be rigid. This doesn't have to be stiff. You can make this actually fun. But when we talk about setting goals and strategy and all these other, like you've got to set up a strategy and or routines or habits. Like it has to be. So if you want to eat healthier, right, throw away the junk food, right? Don't go shopping on an empty stomach. If you want to exercise more, lay your clothes out the night prior. That way, you know, when you wake up, you put your running shoes on, you're out the door, right? Create these routines, and over time, they'll become habits. Establishing a routine provides stability and consistency. If there's one thing most of us struggle with, it's uncertainty. Like me, I am very structured. I am very oriented. If something throws a monkey wrench into my plans, I lose it, right? I kind of lose my thought process and my focus, right? That's why routines for me are so beneficial, because it provides me that stability and consistency I know I need to be successful. Number 5, you've got to hold yourself accountable. This is where I am good and not so good. Um, I'm good at holding myself accountable when it comes to beating myself up for mistakes. I'm good at holding myself accountable when it comes to um, maybe backsliding a little bit or taking some steps back or running into an obstacle, right? I'm really good at beating myself up about it and holding myself accountable that way. Uh, I'm not very good at being my own champion. I'm not very good at being my own cheerleader. And it makes me wonder how many of you out there can say or maybe feel something very similar, right? We've got to do a better job at holding ourselves accountable. And it doesn't always have to be negative, right? Accountability and discipline and things like they don't have to have a negative undertone. We can take those things and turn them into positives. One of the things that I'm really going to strive to do or be deliberate with this year is also establishing some accountability partners, right? It's not just going to be one person. I'll probably pick two or three people and give them each probably one goal or one thing that I'm getting after. And I'm going to ask them genuinely from Jason to them, please hold me accountable on this. Please call me on my BS. Please let me know when I'm slacking or making excuses, right? Sometimes I need a thump in the throat to wake myself up, right? So hold yourself accountable and then know that if you struggle in that area, it's okay to establish accountability partners. They help. Number 6, track your progress, right? This is where motivation comes into play, right? Nobody's really motivated to get started. They get motivated when they start seeing their progress, right? They get motivated when they start seeing changes in whatever area they're getting after. Tracking your progress allows you to do this. It allows you to see how you're improving. It allows you to see how you're sticking to a plan. It allows you to see how you're disciplined, right? And then that first domino starts to fall, and then you start getting inspired. You're even more motivated now to keep going, right? It also becomes a challenge. Let's say your goal is to eat healthy, 7 days a week, 6 days a week, whatever it is, right? And you get 1 or 2 or 3 weeks under your belt where you're like, man, I crushed that week. Well, now it becomes a challenge to yourself that, man, I don't want to mess up this streak. I don't want to mess up this trend, right? Let's say your goal is investing, right? And every paycheck you put away, let's just say for argument's sake, $100. And you do that for 3 or 4 months. Well, now I have a trend. Now I have a streak. Now my name is on the line. I'm not fitting to throw that away because I get lazy or because I backslide. No, I'm telling you, track your progress. And lastly, probably most importantly, you need to understand that failure is an integral part to progress and transformation. This is not going to go smoothly. Yes, you will have good days, but you most certainly will probably have bad. Yes, you will fall off the wagon from time to time. Yes, you will run into an obstacle or face a challenge. It's going to happen. That is life. That doesn't mean throw in the towel. I honestly believe that if we look back over 2020, and I'll probably keep bringing it up, because we were so unprepared for that, I think a lot of us probably threw in the towel. I know I did. I can only speak for me. I know I did. And I shouldn't have. We cannot throw in the towel. Understand that failure is probably going to occur. Understand that failure might happen, but it doesn't make you a failure. Pro tips, all right? Those are your steps. We're rocking on the pro tips. Pro tip number 1, small changes over time. I talked about this at the beginning of the episode, right? Small changes. If you have a big goal, break that thing down into smaller types of chunks, right? What is the old saying? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. If you have a big goal, a 12-month goal, well, first thing you need to do is break that bad boy in half. Where do you need to be at in 6 months? Right? Then you can break that down. Where do you need to be at in 3 months? Then you need to break that down to where you need to be at in a month. Then you need to break that down. Where do you need to be at in a week? Like where does the weekly time start from that? Right? And I promise you, what you have to accomplish in that week is a hell of a lot more manageable than what you have to accomplish in a year. Small changes over time, right? Pro tip number 2, consistency is key. Most of the people that reach their goals, most of the people that hit the marks that they set at the beginning of the year did one thing different: consistent. They stayed consistent. They did not give up. You know, the funny thing about reaching your goals or reaching your potential is you don't need to be extremely gifted or talented. You just need to be what most of society is not willing to be, and that's consistent. And then finally, pro tip number 3, don't just focus on externally, focus on internal transformation. Right? I'm going to tell you right now, internal is probably the most important. Right? We've all seen these companies. I mean, these companies come out and they're like, oh, new and improved this. And yeah, I want to be new and improved. That's what I'm getting after in 2021. I'm trying to be new and improved. But if you think about these companies, the only thing they ever really change is the packaging. Maybe they upgraded it or updated the packaging or added some fancy coloring or, no, that's not the new and improved that I'm looking for. I want to make sure the ingredients are new and improved. I want to make sure what's internal of that packaging is new and improved. That's the new and improved I'm getting after this year. Those are your pro tips. Getting ready to wrap this up, I need you to understand that who you are right now doesn't necessarily mean that this is who you were meant to be. We're constantly evolving. We're constantly growing. We're constantly developing. Right? You could be happy with where you're at and only want to make minor tweaks. That's okay. You could be unhappy with where you're at and want to make major tweaks, and that's okay. But it's time you take control of the process. Developing yourself, improving yourself, transforming yourself. This should be one of your greatest and most pleasurable moments in life. You are fulfilling your potential. You are chasing after it. So the question really is what are you waiting for? You are responsible for your own transformation. It's time you take control of the process. It's time you take control of your transformation. Look, there it is, done and done. First one of 2021. As always, thank you for spending so much of your time with me today and allowing me to invest just a little bit in your development. Until next time, keep searching for those codes to unlock your fullest potential. Be a catalyst not just for you, but for all those around you. Take care.